This episode we're going to look at a Panasonic DMRE20. This was the first DVD standalone recorder that Panasonic released that could record on both DVD-RAM and DVD-R media. The predecessor, the DMRE10, could only record on DVD-RAM media, and it was also about $4,000. This particular machine is mine. I paid $2,000 for it 20 years ago. It's not working properly. Let's fix it. This is the Panasonic DMRE20. This is one of the first DVD recorders that was available on the market. I think the E10 was available in the States the prior year, but this is the first one that was actually sold in Canada. It was sold in two different colors, silver and black. I have a black one as well. It's actually hooked up in my system and it works. I haven't used this one in years. It hasn't been turned on in years. Now this is from 2001. That makes this unit 20 years old today. There's the original remote that came with it. We'll take a look at the inputs and outputs on this unit. Let's take a look at the back. So on the back, we have component outputs. We have two sets of AV outputs, including S-Video, and we have two inputs, input 1 and input 3, again with S-Video, and a tuner. And on the front, video 2 is on the front. So let's turn this around. We'll plug this unit in and see whether it even turns on. Say this unit has been in storage for the past probably 15 years, if not more. I haven't used it in a long time, and the reason I haven't really used this one is because it only supports two types of disc, DVD-R and DVD-RAM. And I used to use this machine before I got my hard drive based PVR. I used to use this to time shift programming. That's all I used this for, was with DVD-RAM discs and for time shifting. I burned the odd DVD-R on it, but it was mostly used instead of a VCR. This is what I used to time shift from 2001 probably through to, I'm going to say it was probably 2008 when I got 2008, 2000, no, it would have been before that, 2006. 2006, I got my my first HD PVR. I had an HD satellite receiver first, but it didn't have the built-in hard drive. I think it was 2008 that I got my my Bell, I had Bell at the time, 9200 receiver, HD receiver with a built-in hard drive. Prior to that, I used to record everything onto this unit here. Okay, the unit is powered on now. It's hard to see the display. It's quite dim because it's off. Turn it on, and the display gets a little bit brighter. It tells me there's no disc. Hear the belt slipping? Okay, so we got to change a belt. It may even be the micro switch that indicates when it's open. Well, first of all, we'll see whether it'll actually play a disc. So let's see if it'll play a DVD-RAM disc. I'll turn on my monitor here. I have a recorded disc. Actually, I think there's something on the other disc too. But here's a cartridge disc. And we'll put this on the right mode for this TV. Video 3. And I don't think we'll pick anything up here. Oh yeah, I've got some of my modulators are tuned in on this thing. Okay, so it's not going to load the disc because the belt is slipping. So we have to service that. Let's see whether I can get this drive apart and see if I can make this unit work. To say my other one, the black one, it still works, and I use it actually as a CD player. Another problem this one's got is that it's not responding to the remote. Press the power button and nothing happens, and I know the remote works. I can show you that it does send out a signal, even though you can't see it there. If I turn on the night shot, you can see that the remote is sending out a signal, and it is controlling my other recorder. So this one's got two problems. The sensor is also bad. I'll have to take a look at that as well. But and I've confirmed that the remote works on my other machine. So first, let's get the top off this one and take a look at what's inside it. Not much, is there? So what we have in this is we have a power supply. I'm unplugged now so I can stick my fingers in here. We have our main board. We have our interface board. Standard, what is that? That's not even, is that an IDE? That's an IDE interface, I believe, on this one. And a DVD RAM drive. Input-output panel. This is our video board here with all of our MPEG chips on it, right here. And of course the front panel. There are batteries in this thing too. I didn't even realize that. And I've been leaving this thing unplugged all these years. I probably shouldn't. Should probably keep this thing powered up because those batteries will eventually go dead. It's got some ugly surface mounted caps. That's probably the MTS stereo board for the sound. Now I gotta figure out how to get this drive out because I gotta open this up to change the belt. Gotta pull the front panel off the unit. I've never opened one of these up, by the way. Oh, there's something from Velcro in here. That was just sitting down in the front here. I think these screws have to come out to remove the front panel. Well, one does. The other one looks like it's already missing. Okay, these two more screws here have to come out on the front, and then the front panel will lift off. That's for starters, just to get to the drive so I can see where the belt is. Next I'll remove the 4 screws that hold the drive in place on the bracket. And then the drive should be able to unplug from both the power and the interface. Okay, I've unplugged the drive here, and I unplugged the drive here. I should be able to lift the drive out now, just like that. I gotta figure out where the belts are in this thing. I have been warned, do not disassemble, do not service. Don't have much choice in that matter because I can't load a disc in it as it sits. If I can't load a disc in it as it sits, it's not much good to me. And I can't get a new drive because something like this would not be available. It hasn't been available for probably 15 years, maybe longer. How long did Panasonic keep parts for? 5 years, 6 years? 2001, by 2005, this thing probably was unobtainable for parts. so we don't have a heck of a lot of choice. We either have to try to fix it or it just goes in the scrap heap. And that's unfortunate because I have some discs in DVD RAM. I should probably start thinking about transferring the material that I've got on DVD RAM over to something else, just because if all my DVD RAM decks fail, just gotta mark this, this is the right side. If all my DVD RAM discs go bad, then or all my DVD RAM recorders go bad, I'm going to be tough to try and get that material off of the discs. Okay, what comes off next on this? Probably these two screws in the back, and then hopefully the unit will lift apart. I should be able to unplug that and unplug the power connector and use my teeny turner to remove these screws. Okay, now with a little luck, this top should lift off. Just like that. To reveal yet another sealed mechanism. And the bottom, I should be able to take the bottom off of here too. I got to get into this part, wherever the hell the stupid belts are on here. I think this is probably the loading motor, this one there, that's plugged in over here on the board. I'll remove these screws on the top and see if I can lift this piece off. Hopefully nothing's going to come flying out at me when I do that. Which is probably not a good idea. As I thought. Something just released there. What was it? Okay. Now I see where this is just the disc cartridge. So there's the laser unit there. And there is the belt that I need to get out of here. Or at least make it stop slipping. It might be the switch that detects when the drawer is open and closed. That takes the mechanism down, and then it'll pull open. Ah. A switch here. It's a micro switch down here. There's the little motor. It's a little BSL motor. Here's our belt. And belt's slipping pretty good. See if I can find a new belt. That's what we need. I think that's all we probably need is a new belt on this thing. See if I can find one that's a little smaller than that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that one is probably going to be okay. So let's put this belt on. And put that back on. And so this is why it's always imperative to record what you are doing when you are doing it. So then you can see what slips. And in this case, it's this white arm. This white arm is over like this. And it sits, looks like it sits behind this piece here. So as I drop this in place, I'm going to bring this white arm back. I'll lock it in behind there like that. Because that's what jumped when I opened it up. That went like that. That sits back there like this. And now I'll put the screws back in that hold the mechanism together. I don't know about this piece, whether this is in the right position or not. I'm gonna double check that before I do any more, because the optical block was down when I opened this up. So we turn this all the way in. Bring the optical block up. You know, there's just a couple of little pin switches over here. Those are to detect whether your disc is in write protection mode or not. Okay, now let's there. I think that's in the right place. Okay, then there's the cover goes on. Cover locks in place, just like that, and the two screws hold the cover on, go in the back. I'm not tightening these just yet. I'm just kind of threading them right now. Now the brackets can go on. So before putting the front panel on, let's operate the unit. See if it'll operate. So once I get the screws in to hold the drive in place, I'll try powering it up. Okay, get the power cord ready to go. Make sure there's nothing touching, nothing metal that's touching that's going to short anything out. And we'll power it up. Oh, still. Might be a little switch that's acting up there. There's little switches that detect when the disc is out or in. Okay, well that's a good sign. It's reading the disc. So it might be just one of the micro switches that opening and closing the drawer a few times might fix that. It's okay if it opens and closes, as long as I can get it to open and put a disc in, then that's really all that's important. It's playing, so the drive works. Okay, now I need to get the remote control to work. So I don't know where the remote receiver is on this thing. Somewhere on here there's a remote receiver. Yeah, it's going to probably be the switch that detects when it's all the way out, but again, I'm not too worried about that micro switch because it will probably fix itself. As long as I'm able to open it and put a disc in it and close it, that works. Now I got to get the remote detector. We'll work on that next. The remote sensor is going to be in the front, so I'm going to disconnect the ribbon cables here just so that I can work on taking apart the front board to find the remote sensor and see if I can replace it. It's got a couple screws here to hold this metal panel on, so we'll just take this bracket off. Now some of you may wonder what a unit like this cost in 2001. About $2,001. I'm dead serious too. Actually, it was more than $2,001 because there was tax. It was $2,000 or $1999.99 is what the retail on this unit was when it was new. Not a cheap machine by any stretch. But then just a drive for a computer, a DVD drive, was $1,300 because I had one of those too in my computer. Not cheap. But if you wanted to play, you had to pay. And it was a big step up from VHS. And very convenient. Okay, now, where the heck is that little sensor? I do believe it's in behind here. I think that's where it is on this one. So we'll just remove this board and see whether I'm right. There it is, right there. Just as I thought, it is right behind that little square. Yeah, that little square there is actually, you can see through it. Put a light behind there, you'll see it, I'm sure. See, that's a transparent window. That is where the infrared light goes. There's the infrared sensor. We can test the sensor by powering the unit up. I've plugged the cables back in. We can power the unit up and test the sensor. I can scope it. In fact, sometimes if you get right on top of the sensor, it'll actually receive, but it's not receiving anything. So we can put a scope on here and look for the signal. So let's do that. So I'm going to hook up the scope here and see whether it's receiving a signal or not. Hopefully it doesn't receive a signal, because if it does, it means that there's another problem. And that is not what I wanted to see. Because you see, that means that it's receiving a signal and it's not responding to it. And that's bad. But I can access the menus through here. So let me just get into my menu and see. Possibly this thing had more than one code. I don't see any way to set a code on this. But it's possible that this unit could have had more than one remote code. So let's go through the menu and see whether it's been changed, whether the code has been changed. Maybe the battery went dead or something changed it. So let's press top window and I'll show you guys what's happening. Because I can navigate, this machine's got buttons on the front, so I can actually duplicate everything from the remote. So the remote is not even necessary to finalize disks. It can be done from here without the remote, but it would be real nice if the remote worked. Action, and press the return key. Oh, remote control code is set to 2. Let's change that back to 1. It actually can have 3 different codes. Let's try 1. And we'll try the remote control now and see whether the remote control does anything. Does it do anything? Ah, good. So somehow the remote control got set to code number 2. And I bet you there's a way to do it on here. I bet you there's a keystroke that can be pressed on this. And I haven't read the manual for 20 years. But I bet you there's a keystroke on this remote that by holding a combination of keys, it can be set to 1, 2, or 3. And maybe it was set to a different code before, because I had 2 of these units. I don't recall ever changing the code, but it's possible that I changed the code so that the 2 units wouldn't interfere with each other. Or somehow that code got set to 2. This is good news. This is really good news, because now I don't have to try changing out parts. That's why I checked that with the scope first to see if there was any signal. Because I was thinking maybe there is another code for this thing. Anyway, let's put this unit back together and we can try it out. Oh, yeah, I guess I put extra screws in, didn't I? These 3 have to come out. Incidentally, the second DMRE20 I bought it the next year. Actually, I think it was a couple years. I bought this one when it first came out, and I bought the second one. I'm going to say it was probably maybe 2004. It had been out for a few years. And I was down at a place called Circuit City in the States. That one of the first companies that went TU. They went belly up in 2008. During the the recession there of 2008. I think it was 2008 they went, but it was probably, I think I'd had this one probably 3 or 4 years, and I wanted a second one because what I was doing is I was using this thing to record programming on DVD RAM in my office, and I was taking the discs, the DVD RAM discs, and playing them in just a standalone DVD player that had DVD RAM playback. And I was down at Circuit City, and they had a demo one on display, a black one, and they had it marked down, and it was like $250. So I figured, oh, I can't pass this one up. So I bought a second one. And the second one I've got in my rack, in my equipment rack. And it does get used from time to time, basically just for playing DVDs on. I don't record anything on it anymore, but I could if I wanted, but I basically just use it to play DVDs. But it works. It's got the same kind of belt slipping issue as this, but at least it opens. I can put a disc in and then close it. Or it's not so much a belt slipping, it's the switch. I'm sure it's just there's a detection switch that detects when the drive is fully open, when the tray is completely open, and stops the motor. It's not detecting that the tray is fully open, so it loads it again. But that's not a big issue, because the only time it's going to be opened is when I'm loading a disc, and I can just dump the disc in and let it close up. So we're going to put the last couple screws into this thing and test it out. Okay, ribbon cables are plugged in. Put power to the unit. I'll hook up my in-house cable. Let's go through the menus and do an auto program. Oh, might help if I grab the correct remote control. Menu. It's not working. Went off. Oh, you know what? I bet it's the wrong button I'm pushing. Top menu, maybe. Top window? Yeah, top window. Okay. Action. I'm going to go into channel settings, auto channel settings, and let this thing go through, and it'll just scan like the half a dozen channels I've got on my system. You can now go down to clock set and manual clock set. Look at that. Hey, look at that. It's got the right date. And it's only off by a few minutes. It's actually 9:21. The time is, all this time, the clock has been correct. It's only gained a few minutes, and it hasn't been plugged in probably 15 years. Isn't that incredible? And that lithium battery is still holding the time. That is incredible. Some of the settings that we can go up here. How do I do this? Return. Return. There we go. I did the channel settings, auto language ratings level, 3D YC separation, hybrid VBR resolution, automatic still mode, automatic black level, lighter, seamless play, audio during search, dynamic range compression. These are all the different settings. Status message, TV aspect ratio. Okay, that's that. Get out of this, return. Now it should be able to, it should pick up the channels that I have, whoops, on my system. Channel 4, channel 5, channel 7, channel 9, 12. It tells me when it's receiving a stereo signal, and the time display. 3 line inputs. When it's receiving a stereo signal, it shows you that it's receiving stereo, you see. So let's load a disc, as DVD RAM's kind of a cool format to work with, and I can erase it and do all kinds of stuff. So this is a non-cartridge disc. Open up, drop the disc in, close it, and see if there's anything. I did record some stuff on this disc. What I don't remember is if I erased it or not, so we'll find out pretty quick. So there is some stuff on the disc already that I recorded before. If I hit play, it will play what I recorded before on this disc when I had that other machine that's still waiting to be picked up. But there's the stuff I recorded on this disc before. Go to the next recording. I think there's 2 recordings on here. Yes, there's the second recording there. And if I stop it, if I want to record this, if I just push record, I'm now recording onto DVD RAM. Now, this is the cool thing with DVD RAM. I'm recording this. If I want to play something else that's on the disc, I can bring up my, I think it's top menu. It's either top menu or menu, one of the two. There we go. Okay, here's the programs that are on. I want to go back and I want to watch this program. I can start playing this other program back, which I've just started, and it's continuing to record the other program. How cool is that? I can record and play at the same time on an optical disc. Isn't that wild? I mean, this is how far ahead DVD RAM was. DVD RAM should have become the standard for home recording. It should have killed the VHS recorder when it hit the market in 2001. That was Panasonic's big plans for this machine. This was going to be the one machine all you would need to have in your house. Get rid of your VHS machine. Have one of these. You can rent movies, you can play movies. You can record permanent discs on DVD-R, and you can time shift up to 6 hours of recording. Now, the 6 hour speed didn't look great. The 1 hour speed looked fantastic. The 2 hour speed looked good, better than the VHS. The 4 hour speed actually looked pretty good as well. The 6 hour speed was, well, it was like the 6 hour speed on VHS. But it could do a good job. I have lots of recordings I did in the 4 hour speed, and to tell you the truth, they looked pretty good. If I turn out the lights here so we can see the display, because my studio, there's nothing wrong with the display. The display is bright. Believe it or not, the display is bright. It's easy to see. But with all the light I have on here in the studio, I've got so much light in here. I'm probably running 1,000-foot candles of light in the studio. So when all the lights are on, it's hard to see the display. But the display is no problem to see. Like in the living room setting, under normal light, that is more than bright enough. As you can see, it's showing that it's playing and recording at the same time. It's got the red indicator for a record and the blue indicator for a playback. Pretty neat. Another neat feature of this is it had this time slip wheel. You wonder, what is this? Well, watch. I want to go ahead 12 minutes. Now remember, it's still recording the other program, but I've just skipped ahead. So say a commercial comes on. I want to skip ahead 2 minutes. Or 1 minute. 4 minutes. I want to go back in time. I want to go back 9 minutes. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay because it's recording. Remember, it's recording and it's playing at the same time. So it has to finish writing to the disk, and then it can move the laser and read another section, because the laser is moving back and forth, right? It's got to write and then it's got to move back to read what was recorded earlier. And you can actually hear it because it's not a linear motor on this. It's actually, I don't know if you remember when we had the drive apart, but it's actually a mechanical drive with a little stepper motor. It looks like a floppy drive. You hear it. You can hear it moving the laser back and forth. Now, say I'm done watching this recording and I want to go back to record. I want to go back to watch what I'm currently recording. I want to start from the beginning. So I push stop, and that takes me back to what's currently recording. And then I want to play it back. If I just push play, whoops, sorry, made a mistake there. I have to hit top menu, and then I can go to my current recording and select play. And now I've started that recording. It continues to record it. So it's recording ahead. You know, so if I started a recording off of TV, for example, and then if the phone rang, I could pause playback. It continues to record. I could then go back and pick up right where I left off. No different than if it was being recorded on a hard drive. Anyway, that's a look at my old vintage DMRE20. 20 years old, and it still works. And it still works like a new machine. I'm recording in what speed? I'm recording in the XP speed. Just for the heck of it, let's stop this recording. I'm going to change the speed down so you guys can see the different speeds. So that was the XP speed, which is 1 hour. We'll make a recording in the SP speed. Where's my speed button? Speed here, XP. Oh, I'm still recording. Let me stop this thing. Stop. There we go. Now we're stopped. If I go down to record mode, SP. SP was the 2 hour speed. So we'll do a little bit of a recording in the 2 hour speed. Probably going to be hard to tell on what I'm recording here, but oops, I set it for 30 minutes there. We'll just go back off here. There we go. I'll record it for a couple minutes, and then we'll look at the other speeds as well, the slower speeds. Or I shouldn't say slower speeds. It's not a slower speed, it's a longer speed. It's a lower bit rate. And this one also had a variable rate. So if you set the timer, say you wanted to record 2 hours and 45 minutes, but you didn't want to go to the 4 hour speed to compromise the quality, you could set it for 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it would calculate out the space required to fit 2 hours and 45 minutes on an entire disc. Or say you want to record 90 minutes, you could set it for 90 minutes and it would use a faster speed. Or if you needed to get 4 hours and 15 minutes, well, you didn't want to necessarily go to the 6 hour recording speed because that's going to compromise the quality. So you could set it for 4 hours and 15 minutes, and it would use a speed it would use a bit rate that was just slightly slower or slightly lower than the 4 hour speed to allow that recording to fit on the disc, on the available space. And it would calculate out, depending on the available space. If you only had, say you already had 3 1 hour recordings in the LP speed, and you had only an hour of space left, but you needed to put a 2 hour movie, it would calculate out the speed or calculate out what was left and set the bitrate accordingly so that 2 hour recording would fit in the remaining space. No other DVD recorder allowed you to do that. It was kind of unique. All the other ones, you had to pick your speed. You had to pick 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, or 6 hour speed. Toshiba added an 8 hour speed, which was useless, and I have a Toshiba machine that has a 10 hour speed. If you think that the 6 hour speed was bad, I should do a recording on that machine. I've only got one that has a 10 hour speed. I got a couple Toshibas that have got the 8 hour recording mode. I have one that has a 10 hour recording mode. You want to see really bad recordings? bad as you could. Well, you can't imagine how bad they are, but they're bad. Okay, it was kind of a useless bit rate on there that was worse than VCD quality, but it was there just so that Toshiba could be king and they could say we can record 10 hours on one DVD. And in reality, if you went down more than 4 hours, it was bad. So I just did a recording in the SP speed. We'll do another recording. I'll switch this down to the LP speed, and I'll do a recording here, and then we'll do a recording in the EP speed, and we're going to play these back just so you can see the difference. And unfortunately, the material I'm recording here may not look much different between them because it doesn't have a lot of resolution on it. It's just some shots of some scenery, so it might not look that much different between the different speeds, but we'll see. So I just figured I'd record something a little bit different that might look a little better. Maybe I just started up the recording of my aquarium, and just doing this is the EP speed now. This is my aquarium, what my aquarium used to look like when it was in its prime. I've had it for a long time, and I'm down to 3 fish now. The 2 clownfish, and there's 1 damselfish left. All the other fish have just gotten old and have died or jumped out or whatever, and all my corals are all wilted and gone because the lights that I had started to fail, and they stopped making the bulbs. They stopped making the halide or the metal halide bulbs that I used, the type that my fixtures used, and of course the aquarium shops want me to spend thousands of dollars to go to LED lighting, and I said, the hell with that. It's getting so hard to even to get fish food now because all the local governments have banned marine fish. So there's like 2 shops left. Okay, let me go to my top menu here. Oops. Here's the recordings I made tonight. So here's the first one I made, and we'll skip through them all. So this is an SP recording, and I believe the next one, so there's an SP recording, and then to skip to the next one, and that one I believe was that's an SP. The first was an XP. This is an SP recording, which is the 2-hour speed. This is the 4-hour speed. That's LP. And that is the 6-hour speed. And we're going to look at the same speed settings with the aquarium. So this is the 1-hour speed. This is the 2-hour speed, or 2-hour bit rate. Move to the 4-hour bit rate. As you can see, the picture's not quite as sharp. If you look down here in the in some of the coral, if I go back to the previous one, you see the sharpness there. Is that the 1-hour speed? Yeah, that's okay. So this is the 1-hour speed. This is where you're going to look at the detail down in here as I switch speeds. 1-hour speed, 2-hour speed, shouldn't see any difference in the quality there. 4-hour speed is going to be a little bit softer, and the 6-hour speed is considerably softer. I think you can notice the picture there if you look at the coral. But for recording just crap off TV, it was fine. Stuff off regular TV, this looked fine for, recording on. That's the 2-hour speed again, and that's the 1-hour speed. Anyway, that's my DMRE20. How to change the belt on the drive. I know somebody even asked me about this. Now you know how to take the drive apart. Even though it says, do not open, do not service. Now you know how to take the drive apart, how to change the belt, and how to put it back together. Something else I didn't show you about on this is the direct number keys. If I hit like number 3 and then press the OK button, it'll go to play title number 3. If I hit title number 10 it'll go directly to title number 10. Title 1, it'll go to title number 1. Kind of cool. It's a nice system. Nice system. It works well. What I didn't go over on this one, and because I've done it before, I did it on the other one that I serviced. Of course, the discs are fully editable. So if you've got, say, your disc is full. Say you've got 4 one-hour programs recorded, and you delete program number 2 and program number 4. On a conventional DVD system like DVD RW or DVD plus RW, it doesn't matter because you've deleted that space, but because you deleted the space in the middle, you don't regain the data. You don't regain the space. If you delete a 1-hour block in the middle, you can record an hour. If you delete an hour, if you had 4 one-hour programs and you deleted number 2 and number 4, you'd still only be able to record an hour, right? Because you'd be able to record where number 4 was. You wouldn't regain the space where number 2 was until you deleted program number 3 as well. With DVD RAM, you can delete. I could actually edit. I could record a TV show and go back and edit out all the 30-second commercials, and the space from the commercials would be added back that I could record again, and it would just be added to the end of the disc, which is something that's really neat, just like a hard drive. If you guys want to see how that works, a demo on how you can edit programming. I've done little snippets with other services on other DVD recorders that I've serviced. But if you guys would like to see how that actually works, then I can certainly do a video on editing. I think I probably got some stuff on DVD RAM that's got commercials in it that I recorded that I could go through and show you guys how the commercials are removed and so forth. You can do simple cut-based editing with DVD RAM, and it works just like it would work if you were doing it on a hard drive, if you guys are so inclined and you want to see that. Anyway, this one's gone on long enough. Let's remove this disc, and we'll sign off here. So eject. And see, there's the disc itself. I think I've showed you guys the structure of these discs before. But they're kind of neat. This looks like the new stuff I recorded out here. Possibly the laser is not quite as strong. This other stuff was recorded by a different machine, right? The laser might not be quite as strong on this one because of the age, but it's still making a recording and it's still able to play it. But you can certainly see a difference in the density of the data for sure. But doesn't matter. DVD RAM, it doesn't care. It really, it's a cool format. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.